the SCORE model basically, right, breaks down the kind of questions that, how many of you remember I mentioned to you that questions are the answers, questions are powerful in sales, am I right? So do you know that there are 5 types of questions you can ask, okay, in sales? I call it the SCORE model. Okay? Now what is the SCORE model, right? The first type of question you can ask, I call it the situation questions. Okay? So what is a situation question? Okay, so similar to what spin selling. Have you heard of spin selling? Very powerful B2B sales questioning technique, right? That's being taught today to many corporations, right? So situation questions basically means, right, when you ask a question, right, you are essentially trying to find out what is the situation that your customer is facing. So for example, if you go to a doctor, right, and what will the doctor ask you? Typically, they will ask you some situation questions, am I right? Okay, so how can I help you, sir? Then you say, doctor, I have been down with flu for the last 3 days. You know what are you doing? What is he trying to do here? He's trying to find out what is your situation. But do you think, right, situation questions can help? It is enough to diagnose the issue? No. What do you need? Yeah, you need to know what is the cause. Okay, so by the way, this SCORE model that I came up with is I'll say it's a slight modification of the spin selling that is taught right out there. And for the spin selling, right, they don't talk about cost. But why am I adding this cost right here? Because you realize that many times, right, when you ask the cost question, that is where we talk about what? You can actually get the customer to see, hey, wait a second, right? Why am I in this, this situation in the first place? Because if you're not able to get them to see, right, what they have done, right, wasn't the right thing, they're going to what? Repeat the same thing again. And as I mentioned earlier on, right, insanity is what? According to Albert Einstein, so do the same thing over and expecting different results. So you need to share what? Ask a question that will elicit the cause. What is causing your problem? Okay? So then next is what? Next we talk about what? We talk about, okay, so Mr. Customer, tell me what are your objectives that you have? Or what are the outcomes that you want to achieve? Alright? So because it's not just talking about what? Sometimes, right, when you keep talking about problems, people also get very what? Downcast, they get very what? Demoralized, am I right? So you need to also change their perspective and say, okay, Mr. Customer, thank you for sharing me your situation. Thank you for sharing with me, this is what is causing you this headache right now. But let me ask you a question, Mr. Customer. Imagine, okay, so this is a very powerful word to use. Imagine if you are able to achieve what you want. Or imagine if you are able to experience your ideal situation, right? What would it be for you? That means you're trying to put them in a situation where they are trying to put themselves in the future and say, okay, if I've already achieved what I want, right, this is what I can envision myself be or achieve. Make sense? So that is the objective. Alright? Now, then next question, what do I ask? I will ask what? Okay, the repercussions. Now, sometimes again, right, as I mentioned, knowing the problem itself isn't enough. So I need to ask, okay, so now this is to add on. Okay, so what happened is this. These three, you notice what? These 3 questions deal with what? The situation, right? Okay, what's the problem? Giving the customer an idea of where they are and how did they get to the problem, as well as what? Where do they want to be? Okay, where do they want to go? Now, the next 2 questions, what are we trying to do here is this. We are trying to build, this is the part where we are building buying motivation, building buying urgency. Now, how do you do that? Number 1 is you share about the repercussions. What are repercussions again? Again, right, don't just talk about the problem, talk about, hey, you know what, Mr. Customer, can you imagine, right, if this problem stays, right, how much is it going to cost you? How much is it going to cost you? See, most of the time, right, we talk a lot about, you know what, if you solve this problem, this is what you can get in 10 years down the road. Even if you see it. But the moment you say, right, Mr. Customer, right, based on what you have been doing right this moment, right? If things are not going to change, status quo, right? Do you know how much is it going to cost you? Or how much have it cost you? Because when you can get them to see the immediate need to solve the problem. Now, how many of you agree with me that people want to solve problems which are problems that are killing them now? People don't want to solve problems which will kill them 10 years down the road. That is not urgent to them. But they always want to solve problems that are what? That are causing them headache right now. But sometimes they just can't see it. So your job as a salesperson is to what? Is to show them. Actually, this is what doctors do, right? Some doctors are really bad, right? They make you so scared. They tell you, see the medicine, you know, then what? You feel really scared. Oh yeah, this is an issue, you know what? They won't tell you, oh, 10 years down the road, that's your issue. You see doctors tell you, 10 years down, that's issue. You tell you, wow, you know what? They make you feel very fearful, right? Oh my gosh. You know, if I don't do something about it right now, right? Okay, I'm going to be in deep trouble. So they try to bring it, what? To your immediate attention. Okay, so that is the repercussions. Now, and this, by the way, this one deals with what? You notice something? This deals with, yesterday I talked about what? The two P's, right? This one deals with what? Pain, right? Make sense so far? But you notice what's the last one? Okay, last one is effects. Now, effects deals with what? Pleasure about your learning class. So you notice what I've just done here? By doing this, asking questions, right, of repercussions, questions of effects. Now, what are questions of effects? That means, right, you ask that, so Mr. Customer, right, if you are able to solve this problem, which is what? The objectives that you want, right, the outcomes that you want, right, can you think about what are the other potential rewards, right, that solving this problem can bring you? Now, these are the questions of effects. Can you see that? Isn't this powerful? So the thing is, next time, right, when you remember, I kept telling you, right, the best salespeople, what? They don't just prepare the words to say. They always prepare the questions to ask. But you say, what kind of questions you ask? From this day forward, I want to challenge you, right? Go back and think of some of the questions you can ask in each of these categories. So the next time when you enter a sales meeting, right, you'll be very well prepared. You're going to ask these questions. Okay, then your customer will be like, then you are forcing them to think, oh yeah, I didn't see that as a problem. Rather than you go in, we say, if you are telling them that this is your issue, this is your situation, this is my solution, right? It is not as impactful as you can draw it out from them. By the way, you all know this word education? You all know this word education, right? You all know this word education, by the way, right? What's the meaning of education? Right? Anyone tell me what's the meaning of education? When you say educate, what does it mean to you? Many of us think about education is what? I tell you something, I try to train you, right? I tell you this, and then you just follow, am I right? Just like right now in the classroom, if I'm just basically telling you. But do you know that the word education, the original meaning of education, if you go check the dictionary, right? I think it comes from a Latin word, if I'm not wrong, it's Latin, or, you know, the word comes from this word educare. Sorry, I think it's Greek, if I'm not wrong, it's Greek. Now, educare, by the way, E-D-U-C-A-R-E, right? You know what it means? It means to draw out, to infer. Now, in other words, right, what if, right, true education is about what? Drawing out for someone to see it. Because whenever you educate your customers, you're not telling them certain things. You're basically just trying to what? Use questions, use stories to help them to what? To see their current situation better and the what? The way out of their problem.